Hello and welcome to the 29th podcast.
Yes, welcome. Also, welcome to 2014.
Yes, I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and is looking forward to this new bountiful year.
Who invited Stephen Hawking?
Not me.
I'm Luthraz. Mr. Hawking let me borrow his voice for the podcast as my human voice is out of commission.
Okay, well, this is not familiar.
It's okay, Siri. We all deal with change in different ways. You obviously can handle a surprise introductory guest very well, huh?
Screw you, Lou. Anyway, tonight's guest is Drew Bush, an expert in video game news among other talents.
Yes, what is your favorite video game, Siri?
That's easy to answer. You are Zarvox?
Screw you, Siri.
Hey guys, this is all supposed to be fun and enlightening, not cruel and controlling. Lighten up.
How am I supposed to lighten up when Zarvox can't take a joke?
Just think about the universe and how ever-expanding it is, and how small we are in the big scheme of things. Just tiny star stuff floating along. Do you feel better now?
Nope, but let's just start this podcast anyway. Here is your host, Thunderbeard, and the new robotic moron Luthraz with his stolen voice.
Borrowed voice.
Yeah, Hawking, let him borrow it.
Yeah, it's that boy Max with a banger, huh?
Test.
Is it not picking up your robot voice, your Stephen Hawking very well? Sounds like
Stephen Hawking rules. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. We're gonna start. So awkward reading it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Top Level Society podcast. Today is January 12th, 2014. This is your host, Thunderbeard, and I'm here with Allison, Luthraz, and our special guest, Drew Bush. Due to unfortunate circumstances beyond Lou's control, he's not going to be able to speak tonight, but he is present in the room and speaking through his Apple, which is awkward to everybody. He'd like to wish everybody a happy 2014, as would I. And he'd also like to make the statement that 9/11 was an inside job. So I'm glad he made me say that. In Top Level Society news, we just released our second infomercial, which Luthraz edited, starring an anonymous Top Level member meditating in the street and in the middle of a shopping mall carrying the message, "You have ultimate power in a briefcase." You can watch this infomercial at toplevelsociety.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/toplevelsociety. I'm going to go ahead and kick the podcast off tonight with our special guest, Drew Bush of the Bush Baked Beans family franchise. That's not true.
The Bush family farm of Texas.
Yeah.
Bush beer.
Lady parts. I want to preface this podcast by announcing that we're recording tonight in a hotel room, a Marriott room.
I bet the acoustics are really nice and damp.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure my neighbors will enjoy this. So anyhow, Thunderbeard, my house exploded this last week. Had a huge water pipe burst and filled my house with water, and all the ceilings collapsed. So it's usually where we record out. We're in a hotel room, so we may be a little bit more quiet than usual. I'm taking donations to buy a lot of things that my insurance company won't replace, so just going to throw that out there. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our questions for tonight. Drew, we start every podcast off with the same question. Has he been warned in any way or given any insight as to what's going to be asked?
Nope.
Okay, first question we ask every guest that we have is, Drew, what do you give a fuck about? And don't throw something shitty out there like, I like hamburgers or something.
No.
I mean, I guess the best answer to that would be the last couple of years it's been video games. Like, that's been kind of the thing that I spend all of my time, creative energy and all that kind of stuff, trying to create video game criticism. My website was turbogamer.me. I don't really run it a whole lot anymore. I don't know if it's in hiatus, if I'm done, but that's been my biggest thing.
Plugging a dead website, that's awful.
Yeah, I know. It's super weird, but...
Don't go to it. It's not real.
Anyway, and, I went to school for animation and design and stuff, so that's my passion,
Right.
I guess. And video games have always been my passion as well. I just don't the creative kind of aspect behind it is going to continue.
The website is still live.
The website's still live?
It is, yeah. It's not a completely dead website.
It hasn't been updated.
Hasn't been updated since probably like August or September or something.
You said you went to school for animation.
That's correct.
Has he directed?
I was on 2 of his podcasts.
Oh, really?
That's true. TurboGamer.me.
Has he informed you about or showed you any of my animation, any of my cartoons, Thunderbeard?
No.
Don't watch them because you'll lose faith in animation. It's horrible to watch. That's kind of the point of it. So I'm really glad to hear you say. I'm going to go ahead and say that your answer for What Do You Give a Fuck About has been my favorite of all the podcasts I've co-hosted so far. Just
Video
because
games.
I'm a video game junkie.
Oh,
yeah. Excuse me. We'll get that in post.
Yeah, post, totally.
Totally. That's right there.
Well, that was awesome. I didn't know you could do that.
So,
let's not tell anybody what that was.
when did you first get into video games, and what, as I ask this of everybody, what was your first system that you owned? This is going to date you, by the way, because I don't know your age, but when you say,
Sure.
my first system was the N64, then I'll know I'm an old man.
Yeah. Well, that would be my brother. Maybe that would be his answer, because he's a little young. Well, that's not even true. He's a little younger than I am. But I can't remember how far back I was playing video games, so it's been that long. As long as I can remember, I've been playing video games.
And what was that first console?
It would have been an NES.
Excellent.
So,
Okay.
NES, I've toyed around with systems that are a little bit older than that, Atari, beautiful tattoo. NES, so I've been playing since forever.
I think that would probably be your answer too, right? Or did you have an Atari 2600 Luth? Did you have a Tandy too?
Commodore 64.
Atari 2600.
Thanks, Stephen Hawking. All right.
2600 MM.
But yeah, it's the NES. That was my first system, and I think like even nowadays there are still so many games that stand the test of time. You have 2 buttons, you have a D-pad. Give that to kids now, and they'd still be able to play it.
What's your all-time? Reaching all the way back to those days? What's the game? What is the NES game? The best one of all time?
Well, it's got to be Mario Brothers 3. Super Mario Brothers 3. That would be the NES game or Final Fantasy. You play Final Fantasy now, and it doesn't really hold up quite as well, but you can still play Super Mario Brothers 3, and that's
true. I'm gonna go with that.
One of the tops. Contra, you can still play that.
I just watched a guy do a speed run on Contra on Twitch from front to back, without losing a life.
Probably makes you sick to see how good people are at that.
Absolutely. That people just. I'm gonna say I'll go with you on Super Mario 3. Second place, Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
A lot of people like that one.
Yeah. So moving right along, Lou, by the way. Stephen Hawking himself has a bunch of questions that I'm asking on his behalf tonight, and I'm going to be throwing a few of my own ones in there. I think this is kind of a gimme question, but I was wondering it myself. Did you ever see video games progressing to the level they are today, especially with things like the advent of the Virtual Boy and the Oculus Rift, which is the most current version of that, though?
Sure. No. No. Whenever you're playing video games when you're a kid, you don't know what's going on. You don't know how cool the thing is whenever you're actually using it.
No.
You don't realize how many art people, how many programmers, all this different stuff go behind it. You just think it's cool. So at the time, whenever you're playing 2DS, wow. Whenever you're playing 2D games, yeah. When you're just playing, like 8-bit 2D games, you don't realize, what goes into it. So you can't even think beyond that realm of what could exist. And once things got out into like 3D and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
you have the PlayStation and the N64 and even Doom, for instance.
I think, and you'll probably be able to echo this thought, every time a generation of console has come out as I'm playing it, and not so much with, I remember playing the Nintendo and thinking, this looks so much better than the 2600 or anything like that.
Yeah, that's going to happen every time.
After that point, whenever it got to like the Genesis and then like the Sega CD and the Super Nintendos, all that stuff, every time there's been a new generation of console, I go, doesn't get any better than this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I just said that with the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Like, how are they going to top this? And they topped it. Like, I don't think we ever see that far ahead. I think we're always just...
I think I have a dog hair in my throat. I've been trying to get out for like 5 minutes.
That's how it's always going to be, though. You know, there's always going to be... The latest and greatest thing is always going to come out, and you're going to say, how's it going to get any better than this? I can't even possibly imagine what's going to be next.
Have you read about or do you know much about the Oculus Rift?
Yeah, I mean, I know minimal amounts of it. We've kind of covered it on my own podcast and stuff, and it's just like a VR headset that you can use to kind of look around, play games with. It's really good for first-person shooter games, and that's typically what people use it for.
Do you think it's going to be successful?
I don't know. Not yet. Not until... Things aren't successful until they can get basically the lowest common denominator. So you're not going to be able to sell an Oculus Rift to anybody that has an Xbox 360 or a PS3. Because it's still going to cost them, I mean, you'd have to guess hundreds of dollars to get one, at least, if not a little bit more than that. And you're not, I mean, you have to look at, here's an example that I would call up is PlayStation Move. They did not include PlayStation Move in the box with PS3s because it wasn't created at the time the PS3 came out. The Kinect, they started actually boxing that in with Xboxes whenever they were sold. So they sold a lot of Kinects with the Xboxes, and they could put that in more games, and actually people would be able to use the features.
Yeah, automatic install based on that.
Exactly. But that never happened with PlayStation because they just didn't give a shit about it. So, you know, I think once it gets cheap, kind of the way that, you know, you can see 3D printers are getting cheap now. Cheap is relative because cheap 3D printers are still $1,300 or $1,500.
Right.
You know? If an Oculus Rift type device gets cheap, you know, $150, something like that, I mean, maybe. But
I think, and my thoughts on this are, Oculus Rift will be kind of, I don't know, it's going to be a very select market. I just don't ever see, regardless of the price, it catching on. I think it's like there's an unspoken rule that nerdy people don't like wearing awkward shit on their heads. Virtual boy, Google Glass.
they'll put up with a little bit of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to wear this whole thing. I'm not going to look like a throwback to Star Wars days. I'm never going to own one. I mean, I'd like to demo it and play around with it.
Yeah, of
but
course.
I'd never be like, hey everybody, welcome to my party. I'm going to put on this awkward fucking Stormtrooper helmet and play Doom for a little bit.
Nobody's going to do that. You know, they might eventually meld with the consoles that are out and all that kind of stuff, but I don't see it as a separate peripheral, something that you buy to use with your computer or a console. I don't think that's going to happen.
Moving along in questions here. This next question, I was kind of reading through these before you guys arrived here because, again, I'm asking on Lou's behalf, but I really laughed hard at this, so you're going to think it's not funny probably just because I thought it was so funny. But, Drew, are we really in a new age of surveillance state, or are we simply in a new age of awesome electronic wizardry?
It's probably both. I mean, if you look at all the things that have been happening in the news lately, I don't know. It makes you feel a little bit nervous about giving any of your personal information out about anything. You know, so
I've never understood that. Like, I don't care.
I don't either. Personally, I don't care about my personal information getting out there. Cause if you decide to rob me, if you take my social security number and you fire up a whole bunch of like car loans and all that kind of stuff in my name. There's not a whole lot there.
I got a friend that recently we had this discussion where I was like,
what if your voice gets stolen?
oh, wah, wah, wah.
Is that honking or another?
Boom, 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 boom.
It's the T-virus. You can't talk anymore.
So,
Avian bird flu.
we had this discussion recently about how much money I traded in some Xbox 360 games at GameStop and used the little power-up card they've got.
Yeah.
My friend was like, I don't have that shit because they're just trying to figure out how to market to me specifically. They're tracking all my stuff. And I've never understood that argument. Like, oh, no, don't make services better for me. Like,
exactly, yeah. If they decided to figure out how to market to me better, that is...
Right.
Obviously, that's, to a certain extent, that does encroach on your privacy, but it is kind of their prerogative when you're taking games and trading them in. And you have a card that you're swiping, they're offering you discounts and you're continuing to use their service. I mean, why wouldn't you record the data? See, like, hey, throw them an ad that's for an RPG game. They're going to want to buy that.
One of the big arguments, and we'll get to this later, with the launch of the Xbox One was, again, with privacy and the whole NSA and all that, was the Kinect always going to be on? Is it always watching?
Is it watching you?
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, that was another thing, like, even my closest friends were like, I'm not getting that because there's a fucking camera that's constantly looking at you. And I was like, it's not like I'm cutting out babies and drinking their blood and eating their dicks. I don't care if it's looking at me.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't think the U.S. government has nothing better to do than watch me masturbate while I'm watching My Little Pony. Yeah. So, that doesn't
tasteful.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. You know, if
You really want an audience.
What?
You really want an audience.
Really an audience?
Yeah.
You really want an audience.
I need an audience. That's why I do this podcast.
There you go.
Microsoft gives it to you.
Yeah. You gotta stop barking. Your robot voice is threatening my dog.
The dog agreed.
Murphy, come here. Stop barking. Got a crazy old neighbor.
When the apocalypse comes, your dog's not gonna like that at all.
No. So anyhow, Drew, your last name is Bush. Do you think we can maybe get President Bush on the podcast?
Yeah, I've never heard that one before. No, not gonna do it.
What about Dick Cheney?
Is that guy not dead yet?
No.
Oh.
He stole some young guy's heart, remember, and he got to live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love this question.
He's
Whenever I was coming up with my questions, I was waiting to read this one. I knew it was going to be on there. This comes from both of us. Favorite, and think about this, don't just throw something out there, don't be impulsive. Favorite video game of all time?
Final Fantasy VII. That's not hard. That's immediate.
Immediately.
Probably second.
Damn.
Yeah, that's not a hard question to answer. And that's definitely a product of the time. I was maybe 12 or 13, right around then. That's at that age you're very impressionable. So like the stories, the things that happen to you around that age, that kind of stick with you forever. You remember that a lot.
Final Fantasy VII is a good one.
I would also say Super Metroid.
Final Fantasy VII, the year it launched, it had they do award ceremonies like the Oscars, but for TV commercials.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII won like 8 commercials that year for its commercials.
I actually didn't know
They
that.
ran on TV, yeah.
Very cool.
If you pull them up and watch them, you'll understand it. You'll be like, oh, those
Interesting.
are horrible.
It's all about storytelling.
Luthraz.
Wait.
Let's get your favorite game of all time. Don't say Stephen Hawking Simulator, 2013.
Leisure Suit Larry, maybe. I have so many. I mean, like I could answer that question so many different ways, but I think Final Fantasy VII and Super Metroid would be the two that come to mind, at least for me.
Pretty sure I said Super Metroid on Drew's podcast.
Yeah. Super Metroid's a good one.
Yeah.
I can't really pinpoint one game because it's a trilogy of games, but the Mass Effect trilogy.
Yeah, that's fair.
My favorite, don't get me wrong, my favorite, as you can, this tattoo says, my favorite series of all time is The Legend of Zelda. I've played every Zelda game but the newest one, the one they have for, is that on 3DS?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. And 2DS, exclusively.
I don't have DSs anymore because of the damage.
It is incredible.
3DSs get destroyed.
It's really good. I mean, if you like A Link to the Past, I won't say it's basically the same game, but it's very similar.
So throw it back to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
also,
good.
I didn't mention Pokemon. I also have to say that. So like probably those 3 games, Pokemon, Final Fantasy VII, and Super Metroid would be.
So you're a real ladies' man.
That's yes.
Okay,
Ha 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 ha.
that wasn't creepy at all. So this kind of ties into it. What are you currently playing right now? Lou wants to throw out, so he doesn't have to type it all awkwardly, that he's currently playing the Legend of Zelda game that we're discussing, as well as Dr. Luigi and Street Pass games on the 3DS. So what are you playing right
I don't
now?
understand all those fucking Street Pass games. But anyway, I've been playing the Zelda game for 3DS. It's really good. I've been playing a little bit of, like, some games on my phone. They had a bunch of sales right around Christmas, so I have like Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 3 on my phone. I've been playing those a little bit. I've been playing, let's see, I've been playing Rocksmith. Rocksmith's probably the biggest one that I've been playing lately, which is a game that literally you plug in an electric guitar with a specialized chord, and it teaches you how to play guitar, like songs. And I'm not playing that because I really love to play video games. I'm playing that because I want to learn to play guitar and have no discipline. So that's kind of a good way to do it. I've also been playing Pokemon since it came out, like almost all the time. I haven't played it in 2 weeks though, so That's a big deal for me. But
Pokemon withdrawals.
yeah, seriously.
I'll scratch your Pikachu later.
Allison has to explain Street Pass to everyone.
Allison, explain Street Pass.
Street Pass on our 3DSs. Basically, you turn your character on, walk around the city, hook up with little kids and other oddly something-aged people.
That are playing currently.
I don't want to go to jail, though.
And you get, like, puzzle pieces, and you say, like, little messages to each other. I'm trying to think there.
That's it? So it's Yahoo Messenger, but you have to be in close proximity to each other?
Yeah, so it's weird. You come home, you get, like, 12 street passes, and half are kids, half are, like, old men. And it's just... It's
Foursquare
fun.
on the DS.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm currently playing, as we discussed before we started recording, Lego Marvel Superheroes. Anyone listening that hasn't played it, if you're a fan of the Lego games or you're a fan of Marvel Comics, it's a comic. For one, it's a comic fan's wet dream. It's got so many Marvel characters in it.
I've seen some of the trailers and stuff. They show how many characters in there. It kind of blows my mind.
They even threw in Howard the Duck.
Oh wow!
Just recently, I unlocked Howard the Duck and Blade in the same day. I was like, well, that's good that they're in the same game together. And there's a lot of really funny references because in the Avengers movies and all the Marvel Comics movies, Samuel L. Jackson plays Nick Fury. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of funny references to Samuel L. Jackson's other movies within the game. There's a reference to snakes on a plane where you have to kill a bunch of snakes on the Avengers helicarrier, and someone says, Director Fury says to get these mother-scratching snakes off this mother-scratching helicarrier. And then right before I fell asleep earlier today, I was playing a mission at Stark Tower where there's a disco party going on, and Nick Fury is the DJ, and he says, "You will know my name is the DJ when I lay my beats upon thee." From Pulp Fiction. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. We're getting a lot of laughs out of it.
That's pretty cool.
So,
It's incredible how many 20-something-year-old men are playing Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because I work with a guy that, I wouldn't really know it without talking to him a bunch, but he plays a lot of video games, and Pokemon is like also that's his jam, just like me. And so, people that grew up around my age, I would say, that was hitting right at that specific time where it kind of stuck with a bunch of people.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 26. I'm about to be 27.
I'm really glad I'm still the oldest person here. I think it's been pretty consistent every time we've done a podcast. If you could do it all over again, would you still play all the same video games you did, or would you leave some of them out? I like this question because it's a very cleverly worded way of saying, what games did you fucking hate, and would you never play again?
Yeah, I would. Everybody might think back on a game and think, like, why did I spend 40 fucking hours playing this game? But, it's kind of like saying you have regrets earlier in life, same kind of thing. Those things that you did make you the person that you are. All of those video games that I play help to inform, the creative projects that I work on, the art that I make and all that kind of stuff. So I can't, there's so many people that go into making a game too that a game might be shitty, but it's still somebody's baby, and I'm happy to have at least indulged them.
Before we delve into the next gen stuff, let me ask you a question.
No, you can't ask me a question.
Okay, well that's going to make the rest of this podcast really weird.
Right.
So prior to the launch of the next generation of consoles, PS4 and the Xbox One, Xbox had initially announced there was going to be digital rights management with their games,
yes.
The whole DRM issue. What is your take on that? What was your stance on it when you read that it's going to have to be connected to the internet every 24 hours and you couldn't trade copies of your games with your friends? What was your take on that?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. If you think about think about Steam. Steam has been successful since it wasn't successful at the outset of 2004, whenever it launched, right around there. Maybe it was 2003, but Steam, you have to get on the internet, you use their service, they know what you're buying, you download from their service, and basically you can install your games on any PC that you set it up to do.
Right.
Anything that you allow it for. And services and our lives are moving to be so connected all the time anyway. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff isn't that big a deal. But for the people that live in, rural Montana, and they go and they buy an Xbox One, and they take it home, and none of the features work, plus it needs a day one patch where you can't even fucking use it before you do it. Things like that are a bigger deal than anything. The problem that I see with Microsoft is, Sony came out and they had a game plan, and you could tell that they had a pretty tight-knit game plan. They knew what they wanted to do. They were targeting gamers. They realized that whenever they announced the PS3 and they said it was $600 and you would get a second job to buy one, they realized that they were kind of full of shit,
right,
and that people weren't going for that. They tried to get back in good with the people that were all hardcore gamers that switched over to Xbox and Xbox Live, whereas Microsoft took a completely separate approach, and what they did was they basically were the antithesis of that. They made it so that it was all about them making money. They wanted your money. They didn't want your business.
right.
Essentially. And I think that's kind of a problem. The fact that they basically reneged on the whole deal and changed all of their policies, it's kind of indicative of the fact that they didn't really know exactly what the best thing was for customers and customers.
Noah's Arcade in Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Noah's Arcade in Wayne's World.
Mm-hmm. What about Noah's Arcade? Gotta wait. Pause for timing.
Yeah.
We'd like to point out the podcast tonight is brought to you by Bob's Burgers.
A metaphor for what he just said about Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. My opinion on that is kind of back and forth also.
It's not going to affect sales in the end. People are still going to buy Xboxes, and they're going to play their Xboxes, and it doesn't matter. The only people that remember that kind of stuff are people like us in the room that are like hardcore gamers.
PlayStation had the initial idea for doing the DRM. They announced that first on IGN during the press conference.
Oh, yeah.
And Microsoft went ahead and said, well, that's a good idea. And then PlayStation stepped back and watched them take the heat for it whenever they announced it. It was good. Like, seriously, they're like, that is a good idea. And my thoughts on it, which my closest friends who are gamers didn't seem to agree with me on this, I would rather own a copy of a game that you can't play and that GameStop can't buy for me if it means that the developers are going to get to keep more of their money.
Yeah.
If it's going to cut down on piracy and the pre-used game sales, and if you want to play the game, go buy a $60 copy like I had to. If it means that companies like THQ get to stay in business to continue to make games and their employees get paid, it doesn't affect me because I don't really buy used games. And, I support the developers. It's like I read an interview that said you can't go to a movie and watch a movie in the theater and then walk out and give you the ticket stub to your friend and let him go watch it. He has to pay to go see it too.
That's true, but you could buy the DVD.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I get both sides of the argument, and I think both people have a valid point.
Right.
I think that we live in a capitalist society that doesn't give a shit about creators of things.
And it doesn't.
And so, whatever is going to make the creator the most money to start off with, and whatever consumers are going to best adopt and work with is going to be what's going to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to. It just won't succeed. So
that being said, I think I know the answer to this question. Lou has this one posted up for me to ask. It's very simple: PS4 or Xbox One. I would pick PS4. I mean, you could probably get that from all the things that I'm saying, but the gist of it is there are more games coming out for PS4 that I would want to play first, especially Infamous Second Son. That's like the first next-gen game that I've seen that I actually want to play. However, when the new Halo game comes out, I'll want to get an Xbox One. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to have no money ever. Have you seen any? Have you seen any of the footage or art from that was just released? Actually, yeah, there was days. Was it just one screen? And it was kind of wasn't there like a big kind of like a carrier thing kind of flying through the air? That they released the footage. They released a piece of footage that was based on that. And a couple more images came out just after that. The new Halo. What? He's a robot. Yeah.
Halo machine.
Halo machine?
I got an Xbox 360, not this Christmas, but the
Pro
previous
box.
Christmas. It's a Halo box. That's what I've used it for. I've played a few other games on it, games that I can't get on PS3, stuff like that. But I've had my PS3 since 2009, so. Gotcha. Next question here.
You're just fucking with Thunderbeard.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm not. He always goes on about. I think he has this idea that I'm a Microsoft fanboy or an Xbox fanboy. Yeah. The truth of the matter is, I'm a fan of who makes the better console. And I felt like the Xbox 360 beat the shit out of the PS3. That's and fair. I played a PS4 and I own an Xbox One, and we're currently there are.
That's
games.
just how Xbox people are.
No. If I was that person, I'd be on the internet in flame wars and fucking trolling people. Yeah. I just feel like Isn't that what a PlayStation person would be if they were like, oh, just feel like PlayStation makes
right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Ever reading comments on any website that is involved with video games is like a fucking nightmare. Don't ever do that.
Based on like what I look for in a gaming console, I feel like for one, I'm a huge fan of the online community.
Yep.
And Xbox Live that's the shit in my opinion compared to PlayStation Network.
They've made lengths and strides to get better, but it's still it's not necessarily behind the times. It's just everybody thinks it's behind the times. They haven't been doing like the voice chat and all that kind of stuff for as long. So I don't know.
I know it's the fire detection system in the hallway. It just wants to remind me that I'm in a hotel, I guess.
God.
Yeah, in the PlayStation Network, and from what I've experienced with the PS4 that my brother has, it's definitely made a lot of huge leaps forward as far as content and stuff. But that was one of the things to me, like with the PS3, it was like, here's basically a website with some crap you can download. Well, as far as the content before, they're more even in that race now as far as marketplace content and stuff like that.
The PlayStation Store got really, really good probably right around the time that I got my PlayStation. So like you can log on, you can download games day and date whenever they first come out, just like you can on Steam.
Yeah.
And that was a feature that I thought was kind of weird whenever I got my Xbox. Like some games would come out day and date on, they would be like third-party games like Call of Duty or something like that. They come out day and date on, and I don't know about Call of Duty if this is a good example, but it would come out day and date on PS3 and on Steam and all this other stuff, and then you get on your Xbox. It's like, why can't I download this? What's going on with that? But that's like a super, if you're,
what that boils down to? And again, this is just based on website speculation and some interviews I read, was that PlayStation, the amount of people utilizing the PlayStation servers for just downloading versus gameplay, the ratio is so much different. Like Xbox is so much, there's so much bandwidth and server space. People are playing the games online instead of just downloading things.
That's true.
So,
that very well could be true.
Yeah, they're pretty close in that race now. Though it seems like, I think with both consoles, every game that launches, you can download it that day.
Well, yeah, you can now, and it's just basically like what games you want to play. PlayStation has Infamous and Uncharted, and the Xbox has Halo and Gears of War.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there just because I have it. Dead Rising 3 is a sight to behold. That is a fun.
I've heard some really good things about that game.
I had a blast with it till I beat the shit out of it after a few weeks of playing it. I got tired. There was a Christmas Day achievement, like you could only do it on Christmas, which was to spill 10,000 gallons of zombie blood on Christmas.
Those kind of things are annoying.
That was the last thing I did, but the game was a lot of fun. But again, there's PS4 games. There's none currently, but there are games coming out that I want to play and can't wait to play. We had a discussion in the last podcast about how foolish Nintendo, or not Nintendo, but Microsoft and Sony were not to bring a Halo and an Infamous or a Uncharted with their, like, that was dumb. The launch had one of those games with it.
And neither of the launches were like completely barren. Like, they had good games, they just didn't have like the thing that you buy the system for. And launches almost never do.
No.
Almost never. Every once in a while there'll be a launch of a console that has a selling game, right?
Nintendo's usually pretty good about it.
To a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah. But I would say that, if you are a hardcore gamer and you have a little bit of extra cash to spend, there's no reason not to own one. If you don't, though, there are still plenty of games on Xbox 360 and PS3 that there's no way you've made your way through everything, in my opinion.
Have you had any experience with an Xbox One yet?
No, actually I haven't.
Okay. That rules out the next question I had, which was, do you think the inclusion of the Kinect warrants the extra $100 you're paying whenever you're purchasing a console?
I don't think it... regardless, I don't think it does.
Right.
Just because, you look at if you're Microsoft, you look at your competitors, and they all announced, Sony and Microsoft, they announced things right at the same time, so whoever had the lowest price was going to kind of look like they were the better guy at the time. And you've got Nintendo, Wii U's are about $300, right? You can get them, is it $300 and $350 or $250 and $300? Regardless, it's cheaper.
Right.
And then you've got PS4 at $400, and you've got the Xbox at $500. Does that $100 get made up for most people whenever they buy the Xbox? Are you going to use the Kinect $100 worth through the life? Maybe you will. The Kinect, that's what picks up the voice commands and stuff. So if you're using it to switch channels on your TV, pull up Netflix, you're using it for in-game commands, all that kind of stuff, sure. I would probably never do that, personally. I don't like to talk to my TV.
Luthraz has seen, I think he was a little taken aback when he came over to my house the last time. Wow, what it would... I was shocked about when I got it. I thought it was going to be a case of game developer, a console developer, Microsoft being like, here's what it's going to be able to do. And almost never do they deliver on those promises.
Right.
Like a politician, they're like, well, I know we said it would do this, but that's coming.
Sony's the king of that.
Right. And I was really shocked the day I got it to turn it on and have like literally everything they said I'd be able to do. I was able to tell it to turn the volume up, turn the volume down, watch TV, go to Netflix, go to my SkyDrive, pull pictures.
It's relatively quick too, isn't it?
Yeah, you guys saw
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
It's it is long. I think it's up to. I said 5 when I was talking to John, but it's the 6 most recent apps because it basically uses the Windows Metro layout.
Yeah.
The last 6 things that you referenced or used or cached, and they'll immediately, like if you're playing Dead Rising 3 and you switch to TV and watch TV for a minute, and then you say go back to Dead Rising 3, it'll go right back into it with no load time, no app startup. But if it's something you haven't accessed in a few days,
Might take a few seconds.
a couple seconds, yeah. But yeah, it's relatively quick.
That's pretty cool.
Can you show it off right now?
Right now, I can, yeah. I guess if you want to slide the chair over
Too
here,
awkward.
we'll switch to the. Oh yeah, I forgot. We're in this hotel, so I'm not 100% on how to use this television. So let's see if this works. This feature. I know those of you listening at home are going to be like, I have no idea what he's doing there. Xbox, go home. So right now it's in the TV guide.
Okay, so there goes home. All
So
right.
we go home here. So this is one of the things I showed. I thought this was kind of neat. Whenever I got
Can
it.
you have it take a photo of us?
I can't have it take a photo. No, it doesn't do that kind of thing. I can take a video
What?
of this. It won't take a photo though.
It's kind of bizarre.
So
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. So right now it's signed out. I know it's still recording, but right now this is signed out. It doesn't know who any of you are because you've never been in front of it. I've never set up a profile. But if I come into the room and it's on, and I sit down in front of the Kinect and kind of give it a wave, it should within a couple seconds. Now
It knows it's you.
And it logs in as me. It knows these are the things I access the most. So here at the bottom are the things I've most recently accessed. So they would be the quickest if I were to say, Xbox, go to Lego Marvel Superheroes. And again, it's not picking me up. I'm drunk. Xbox, go to Lego Marvel Superheroes. And boom.
Yeah.
It goes to that. Xbox, go to SkyDrive. Why is it? Oh, yeah. Xbox, go to SkyDrive. Xbox,
What
go
are
to
you using
achievements.
SkyDrive for?
Xbox, go to Netflix. Xbox, go to Amazon
Yeah.
Instant Video.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Xbox, go home. Xbox, watch television. This isn't going to work because I don't have the TV running.
Yeah.
But let's say I was doing something like
It would go to TV.
Xbox, go to Blu-ray player. Oh, do I have a Blu-ray
What
player?
are you using SkyDrive for?
Most currently, photos of my collapsed house. I've been saving photos. The insurance company sent me. Xbox, go to Blu-ray player.
Nice.
So now we're in Blu-ray player. Let's say we're watching a movie on here, and I think this is neat. Some people think it's a waste or they don't understand why it's on here, but say we're watching a movie, and you're like, I know that actor from somewhere. Who is that? The snap feature where you can pull up.
Yeah,
a
I've
separate-
seen that. Yep.
Xbox, snap Internet Explorer. So that pulls up on the side, and I can use that along with the smart glass. I can take my phone out and
Yeah.
use that as a kind of like a mouse. and
Second
use that
screen kind of thing.
Second screen and type up stuff, and it'll pull up in there.
That's pretty cool.
Xbox, unsnap. Xbox, go home.
Check out the latest IHOP menu.
IHOP, yeah, I ordered IHOP the other day. That's why it was open. I don't know. I don't have any jokes for that. It said IHOP, but it was
That's what happened.
Can you order IHOP through this?
yeah. You can order IHOP.
Probably also
Order
order
Pizza Hut, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Whenever I say I would pick PS4 over an Xbox One, that's just because of specifically of games. I want to own all 3 systems eventually anyway.
His Wii U, I was shocked by it. Like, I never considered getting it because I thought it was just going to be the Wii with a little bit better graphics
And a
screen.
screen.
And I went over and was checking it out, and I was really like,
It's kind of the shit.
it had the magic,
control
like that
panel.
magical feeling I had when I played the Wii for the first time. I was like, this is so cool. He's like, you make your character on this tiny television. I was like, oh, it's cool as shit.
Yeah. I still don't own any kind
We
of
club
tablet or anything.
bowling.
I have a couple of computers and stuff, but
I will point out if anyone listening or anyone in the room currently owned an Xbox 360 and had to connect and dealt with how the motion controls were kind of clunky, and it didn't seem like it was picking you up all the time. That is one thing I've been shocked by with this. There's actually like P90X and Insanity and stuff like that. The system comes built in with all of that stuff, and it's free to Xbox One or Xbox Live users until 2015. And when you do like workouts and stuff in front of it, you see a 3D wireframe of yourself on the side of the screen, and it detects like how much stress you're putting on each muscle and how much acceleration.
It probably knows your heart rate too. I bet.
It does know your heart rate based on the flat
that is
of your face.
Insane, slightly, but sure.
Holy shit.
Yeah, very. I made this argument. I don't know if you've listened to the last podcast. That discussion about that extra $100. Not too long ago, my ex-girlfriend and I broke up, and during our crazy combat period of breaking up, she broke my laptop. So I was talking about buying a new laptop.
Yeah.
My friend Chris was like, dude, you should get an iMac.
That's not a laptop.
Whatever. It's a PC. It's a personal computing device that opens up and has keys on it and allows me to get on the internet. Whatever. He's like, you should get a da-da-da-da-da. So I say, yeah, but like I can get a Windows-based laptop for $600, or I could spend $1,500. And he goes, yeah, but I can swipe between windows with 2 fingers, and I can close things out with 3. And I think it's another case of that. Like, I don't see the justification in an extra $800 or $900 because I can do this, and it's got an operating system that's marginally better.
I think a lot of
PCs
times
do not come with Stephen Hawking's voice.
What doesn't?
PCs do not come with Stephen Hawking's voice.
Pretty sure you can download it.
Yeah. and that becomes like a big point of preference. Like, do you like the build quality of Apple products? A lot of times that's what you end up paying for.
Yeah. So, moving off on that tangent forever.
That was pretty cool. That was the first time I've seen an Xbox One in the wild. My brother has a PS4. I mean, they're comparable machines. That was pretty cool. You were showing me the Kinect stuff, which that would be kind of cool if it switches that fast.
It doesn't. It's not reflected so well here, but it's environment specific. The more you use it in one environment, the better it is about picking up the acoustics and like the lay of the room. So the longer I had it in my living room, weekly, every 7 days, it does like an update to like the wireframe of the layout of my room. Like, the coffee table moved a little bit. We know that's still the coffee table. We know that couch is always going to be there. But it's only been in this room for a couple of days, so it's different on picking up my voice commands. But the longer you have, like the longer I've had it.
Who is Lee?
What's that?
Who is Lee?
Who had we? What?
You said we still know where the coffee table is.
He's saying like, do you have a mouse?
Who is Lee?
The NSA.
The NSA, yeah. They know where the coffee table is.
So when we get those drones, they know just right where to put
Oh, okay.
Amazon.
So this is a Lou question, but I
Now in with you.
Yeah, I know. Why can't Sony make a portable that is a success? That's the next question.
Now, let's step back for a second and think about this way. If you look at sales numbers, like raw sales numbers, the PSP, I don't have them in front of me, but I know we've done a little bit of this on the podcast. I think the PSP is the second most successful handheld of all time. If you look at it versus the DS. It came out in 2005, PSP did.
And it's outsold the Nintendo Game Boy Advance because that had like the craziest sales numbers for the longest time.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it may be that it's the most successful non-Nintendo handheld of all time. That might be what it is. I'm not sure.
It's beating the Game Gear at least.
I think they're somewhere in the realm of like 69 million or 70 million.
Game Gear was tight.
Anyway, I get where you're coming from. The Vita's dead, so I don't know.
They're making good use of it with the PS4.
Yeah, I think that there's still more life in the Vita, but it's never going to be even as successful as the 3DS, and the 3DS probably isn't going to be quite as successful as the DS. So, take that how you will. I mean, everybody has an iPhone in their pocket now, and that can do more things than a dedicated handheld can. It doesn't have buttons, but games. It still has games.
Absolutely, and there's been some between Android and I won't say Microsoft phones, but between Android and Apple iPhones, there's been so many demonstrations of how powerful those can be, and like some of the games that you can bring to those are amazing.
Super insane.
I think we answered this question earlier in the podcast, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Are there any new developments with TurboGamer.me?
No, not right now. I mean, I just kind of ran out of steam for the website, so it's for right now. It's in hiatus. I don't know if we'll end up coming back to it or not. This isn't a detriment to my co-hosts and everything for the podcast, but I think it was mainly a labor of love for me, and they were doing it because they knew I loved it and they wanted to be a part of it. And it was never the kind of thing where, and they would go out of their way to do a little bit of stuff for the podcast, but it wasn't to a certain extent. It was just kind of like my baby, and they were kind of helping it along.
That's shocking, and it might maybe whenever you purchase something next gen, maybe this will change. But I would assume with so many developments in the video game community over the last 2 or 3 months, I would figure you'd be all over that shit. Like, time to write some stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of got into a funk for a while, and I was like, I don't really know if this is what I want to do all that much anymore. And whenever you look at it, like, the whole reason I started the website was because I was thinking I might want to go into games criticism or game writing. I got really interested in that for a long time, and I mean, if you look at, say, like the animation field or the TV field, which is what I'm in now, those opportunities, there are very, very few of them. TV, animation, design. Yeah. If you look at how many opportunities there are for game criticism and actually like making full-time living, that amount of people numbers in probably the low 100s, maybe up into 200. People just don't pay money for that kind of thing. So that's probably the biggest part of why I lost steam with it. Now, you follow these people on Twitter, you follow their lives, and then you see that they get fired from the place that they've been working for a long time. It's like, do I want to go through all that?
Right.
No, I don't. That's not all that interesting to me anymore. But.
You're not going to be able to comment as rapidly as I'd like you to on this statement, but this is by far, and it's probably because he hosted a podcast, but this is the most verbose and outspoken. Like, he fleshed out this interview so much more than everyone else. We should get more podcast hosts. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ever listen to my podcast too, I was the one who was kind of running the show too, so I was, vamping and talking whenever I can see somebody's trying to cough or taking a drink of their drink or whatever, and so that's just kind of right. That's kind of how it ran for us. So
that's the first noise I think he's made all night.
It was such a girly little noise too. It was so cute.
There are very few
How
things
do
that I
you
like to
feel
talk
about PlayStation Now? How do you feel about PlayStation Now?
Oh yeah. We didn't really talk about any CES stuff. PlayStation Now is. That looks like the future. If you guys don't know what PlayStation Now is, it's a subscription-based service that is going to be coming to PS3 and PS4. It'll also be coming to PlayStation Vita and then TVs as well, where you can, with very low amounts of latency, depending on your internet connection, play streamable PS3 games.
Right.
You don't have to buy them. You can rent them. You can pay the subscription fee, and then you have access to something similar, I would assume, to the PlayStation Plus Instant Game Collection, where you have, 10 games that you can download immediately and play. This will be the same kind of thing, but you don't have to download them. Right. You just start playing it because all the processing power is out in the cloud somewhere. So.
And again, this is just because I like how the battle goes back and forth here.
Sure.
I've already read so many people like, well, that's an awesome feature, but what about us that live in Bangladesh that don't have the internet?
Yeah.
Again,
5 megabit download is the minimum requirement.
That's true. And a lot of people, especially even in the U.S., if you look at the internet and infrastructure in the U.S., a lot of people don't have that kind of speed.
Right.
So, even like satellite internet, those people are, not only are they slower internet, but it's data capped at like a certain amount per day.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work for them.
I just got into an argument the other day with a DirecTV representative that I just happened to run into here in the hotel about how superior it is to cable, to hardline cable. And I was like, really? Like, considering like most of that business anymore is internet based, and she's like, we blow cable, we blow hardline landlines out of the water with satellite. And I was like, how retarded are you? You're so stupid. Anyhow, I got so mad at this woman. And to be fair, she's a representative of her organization, and so she wants to stand up for what she's selling.
Sure.
She's a little biased. But I was like, I literally said the words, you're an idiot. And I don't say that to people lightly.
But, back to the PlayStation Now, I think that's kind of that might be the future if it ends up being successful for PlayStation. You already saw companies that would do this, like OnLive. They tanked. But Sony is an established company. they have a very big brand that they're already backing, whereas OnLive was just streaming PC games.
Right.
And a lot of PC gamers already had setups to play PC games. So, I don't know, it'd be interesting.
So we have one question we'd like to close the podcast out with, and it's a yin-yang of our initial question. Wait. There's more.
I'm intrigued.
No.
Allison may have a question.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any questions?
I hope it's about Pokemon.
Gotta catch 'em.
Are you gonna get your Pokemon tattoo?
Is that the question?
Yeah, sure.
Is that the only
that
question?
is a question.
I talk to Drew often enough that it's like I don't really have any questions. I already know him.
I
Yeah,
thought
but
about
the
it.
listeners don't
I
know.
know.
Ask them
I
whatever you
know.
ask them on a daily basis. They're like, how many poops do you take?
Yeah.
And what do they look like? Do you photograph
Is
them?
it normal? So I was watching this thing earlier when I was at work about my strange addiction, and this woman ate mattresses. Have you ever done that?
8 mattresses.
Yeah,
Well,
legit. It was. I know.
I mean, sometimes they're really soft.
Yeah.
Kind of spongy.
Yeah, but no, back to the Pokemon tattoo. You gonna put that on your body?
I've been thinking about it for a long time. I mean, I'm not like deathly afraid of needles, but it's like to the point, do I want somebody jabbing a needle a bunch of times into my skin?
Well, it's a bunch of needles a bunch of times.
Yeah, I know. I've thought about it. I don't know.
You know, if you do your forearm or
Which
your
Pokemon?
bicep or something, I'm not like, I'm pro tattoo. I mean, clearly I'm pro tattoos, but I'm not trying to sell you on the idea. But if you do something
It would be here or it would be here.
here, you're gonna be in some pain. You get it like right here or right here. At first, it's gonna feel kind of like a bee sting. And after like 10 minutes, it goes numb to the point that like I've seen a lot of people go to sleep and not like, oh, I hurt and pass out. It's just, you know, when like someone rubs your hair, their fingers through your hair,
Sure.
and that like you like kind of go into drool phase. And you're like,
It's kind of like a painful massage.
yeah, no.
Well, it
The
doesn't.
pain goes away. It
Yeah.
gets to where it's numb, and it just starts to kind of have a tingle to it, and it feels good. I've seen a lot of people with certain tattoos. It's where there's not a lot of muscle density, basically.
Yeah.
Not to say you're not. There's a commonality between people. Like, it doesn't matter how fat or in shape you are. Every man, the most muscle concentration you have in your body is your chest. It doesn't matter how much fat you have there. That's still the most painful place to get a tattoo for a guy. Least painful for women because it's a bunch of fatty tissue there. But like
Not
for
fat, it's
every
tit, man.
fat, that's a substance tit. It's on the periodic table. But like these parts of your arm, seriously, if you were like, I'm gonna get what's your tattoo idea? Was it a Pokeball?
It was just a Pokeball, like
Right.
there or probably there on the.
You got that right here, like where this is located. It wouldn't take hardly any time, and you'd get to a point where you're like, really, this is what all the fuss was about? You get it in here though. That's why this Nintendo
Not a
controller is
specific
finished.
Pokemon.
We got about 2 hours into it, and I was like,
Not a specific Pokemon.
You're not getting a specific Pokemon?
No, it would be a Pokeball
Gotta catch 'em all.
if I did it. I mean,
You wouldn't get every Pokemon tattooed
oh
on
my
your
god,
On the
that
back.
would. Well, there's over 700 now, so things have escalated a little bit. I think it would probably be a Pokeball. There's also
Someone at my door.
There's a knock at the door. They knock 3 times.
Did you get a complaint? Really? Is it this?
I don't know.
You do know. Okay, Murphy, come on in here. Jesus. So, angry hotel neighbors sent room service.
that's fun. I can kind of scoot in and talk a little.
Hey,
This is now the NPR hour.
So,
Ha ha ha.
ha ha ha. Break it up now. Are you into
What you doing, buddy?
massive multiplayer online role-playing games?
I did play World of Warcraft for about a year and a half, maybe.
Let's be honest, did you ever get into EverQuest?
No.
Lol.
When I was in the Navy, I had a roommate for a while, and that's all he did was sit and play EverQuest. He would sit on this hillside and beat a snake with a stick over and over. It was farming experience, and I was like, man, I kind of hate being a gamer right now.
Yeah, those games are bad for you in that they kind of swallow your life.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't think they're not inherently bad. I had this completely different social life that was created essentially with all these people I didn't know, and I would be playing with them every day, and it was interesting. And I played with people that I knew in real life too, so
Right.
that made it a lot of fun for me. But eventually I moved on.
That's exactly why I've never gotten into games like that. Like, I understand their allure, totally, but I know that with my personality, I would just be like, this is my new life now.
Yep. And, for about a year and a half, that was me. Anytime I was doing anything, it was playing World of Warcraft. So.
Right. So, Allison, you got any more questions?
Oh, that was it. I'm good.
Literally, that's it.
The Pokeball tattoo. I'm thinking
I had the
about it.
mattress thing, the Pokemon thing.
Horrible.
The other thing,
Exactly.
there's this emblem from Final Fantasy VII. If you're familiar, there's a movie, basically a directed DVD movie that came out that followed up the story, and it was like actually this really nicely done, well-produced 3D animation movie. It's really cool. It's called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and there's like this wolf emblem that the main character has, and I always thought that would be kind of a cool tattoo that only people in the very exclusive know would.
Is it round? Is the emblem round?
Yeah, it's round, and then there's like a wolf on the inside. He's got like it's almost like imagine a knocker on a door.
Right.
Not knockers, but
Like the Thundercats?
I know, just one tit.
not just a tit, but like a door knocker.
Right.
It almost kind of looks like something like that.
So you could get a Pokeball and that logo, and then
I was kind of thinking symmetrical. And
yeah, it'd be very symmetrical. And you could be like, shoot lightning, summon Giga Nuts or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Uber nerd, something.
Or like comes down from the sky.
Giga Nuts.
That amplify the sun.
Giga Nuts.
You like
Giga Nuts.
He's a fan of Giga Nuts.
Giga Nuts. That's a good one.
Our summation question, since Allison's out of questions and I'm out of questions, I was ill prepared with dealing with insurance issues and barking.
Sigh.
Sigh.
Yeah, very sigh.
So
I like
sad.
to talk about video games. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
no.
fun. I could do this for hours.
Well, maybe we'll come up with something before we hit the end of the podcast, something new. But I'm going to go ahead and throw this question out there just because I'm very interested in what your answer is going to be. What don't you give a fuck about?
People, in general. I guess kind of what people think of me, too. Thanks. Yeah, that's nice. Nice middle finger. They couldn't see.
Joking.
Yeah. I just think that, and this is a product kind of me, the way that I live my life and everything, but, it's too short. Life is too short, so don't worry about what other people think. Do what you want to do, and try to live a nice life. Try to be nice to people. Try to be kind, and just do your thing. But don't let people bring you down and ruin life for you. Try to stay positive.
I'm going to give you something. What's up?
I have a question.
What's up?
Okay, back to the streaming of games.
Yeah.
If you pay the subscription fee plus rental fee, don't you think it'd still be cheaper just to buy the game, depending on how long it would take you to get through it?
Well, if you pay the subscription fee, you don't pay the rental fee. But that's a good question. It depends on how expensive the subscription fee is. If we're talking about PlayStation Now again, it depends, because if the subscription fee is, if it's like Netflix is $8 a month.
I gotta do that.
I do too, even if it's only a limited amount of games that you have access to. But say a game like The Last of Us, that came to PS3 recently, that game doesn't take that long to beat, so you could rent it for a couple days, and if you just poop sock it, get the bedpan out, you don't have to move, you can just sit there and play it. But
I've heard that before. Poop sock.
Well, you have games like that, games that you can beat pretty quickly. A lot of people already are getting those on GameFly. GameFly is $16 a month, and you can get, I think that's for only one game out at a time.
Yeah, one game at a time.
But I already pay for Netflix. I've paid for Spotify before. I've paid for some of these other subscription services. That the reason I pay for it is because it offers me something that I can't get any other way. I can't have access to all these movies because when I go to the local movie store, there's only one, and all the movies that they have are shitty.
You pay for the convenience.
Exactly. And a lot of times we'll rent movies on the PlayStation or on the Xbox because I don't have to move. And that download time is kind of slow.
But if you order games online too, it comes directly to your door, often same day.
Yeah, that's true. So, I think it would have to be pretty expensive for it to not be worth it. I think it would have to be, especially to the people that are going to do it.
Right.
Those people are already gamers that have a little bit extra money in their pocket. So, it just depends.
We've got something coming from Stephen Hawking.
I do not know about you guys, but I need everything now.
Yeah, I'm very much like that. I use my iPhone all the time. I'm on my computer all the time, and so when I can't find something or get to something now, it drives me insane. When I click on a website and it takes more than 6 seconds to load.
You shut up and take my money.
Okay, I don't care what the service agreement is. Shut the fuck up, take my money, and let me have what I want.
There you go. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So, this is, I know we've already hit the what don't you give a fuck about, but you were so blunt that I feel like I can just override your answer and throw this out there. I want to know what your opinion is on this. I'm like back and forth on this. It's pretty awesome that video games are so big now. They cater to a larger audience. It's way more acceptable to play games. Mm-hmm. It's not like the nerd thing that you get made fun of like it was in school.
Literally, almost everyone plays
video games. It's a bigger industry than even movies and music are anymore. At the same time, I have this elitist feeling, like, get away from my baby, the thing that I've harbored since I was a child. I'm kind of, what's your take on that?
To me, the more people playing games, the better. It can only get better. I think that it kind of sucks that the games that some people now are being introduced to are things that are, like, I don't want to say Facebook games aren't games, because they are, but those are the games that, like, a lot of older people are playing. Mm-hmm. For instance, like, maybe relatives that you might now be friends on Facebook, and you see they're sending you requests and stuff all the time. There's value in those games to those people.
Candy Crush.
Yeah, Candy Crush.
I sent John a bunch of Candy Crush requests one day through Facebook. He was all mad about it.
Oh, man.
You sending me Candy Crush requests?
I think it's good. The more people that can play games, the better. But I've had a little bit of that too, where I think, like, and I guess for me, I've always really been playing the games that people consider maybe even the most nerdy. Like, I'm not a big Call of Duty guy. I don't play Madden. I'm always playing, like, JRPGs, and I'm playing like online role-playing games like World of Warcraft, and so I guess I've never really felt elitist about it, but I have had that kind of pang, like, that's not my thing anymore. That's everybody's thing.
That's what I was thinking. I just wanted someone to mirror what I was saying on that.
Sure.
You guys aren't in the Super Secret Club anymore.
Yep.
No, that's true.
That's true.
Just long-time members.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, we do. Yeah, we get seniority. We don't even get anything for that.
We can put that badge on our profile.
What's that?
That was Extreme Soda Stream. That sounded dangerous. Like
Awesome. Everyone needs to get one.
Soda Stream?
Soda Stream.
This podcast brought to you by Soda Stream.
Do you feel like this podcast has been way too short so far, Luthraz?
It's an hour.
It's an hour.
Hey, we can vamp. We can talk about video games all day. I don't give a shit.
We can do that if you want, but if we do, we'd have to take a break. We'll just cut that out. I was asleep on my couch in the living room where you guys were sitting checking out the Xbox. Yeah. And I woke up at like 3:45. The dogs were barking, and the sound of like a sink or bathtub overflowing, all kinds of water at once splashing down on other water. I was like, did I leave a tub running or something? And I got up and went. There's like the main hallway that comes off my living room that goes to the bathrooms and the bedrooms, and then there's a perpendicular hallway that goes. It's like a spare bedroom / room, and it leads to my bedroom. That spare room, the length of the room the ceiling was cracked and water was just pouring through. And I was like, I walked in, I was like, oh fuck, and I backed up, and water started hitting me. And I was just telling her this, like the light fixture on the ceiling was filled with water, and water was shooting out of it. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
That's probably not so safe.
And all of the there's 5 sets of hinged doors in the hallway. One of them's got the washer and dryer, one's got the water heater, one's got the AC in it. I could hear water pouring down on all of those. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh fuck, a water pipe bust. So, like within a matter of seconds, I was looking for how to turn the water off. I had gotten into the water closet where the hot water heater is, and as I was trying to figure out how to turn it off, that room where the initial crack was, the whole ceiling just came down.
I've had so many places like this that have like extended stay hotels and stuff are probably booked.
Yeah, when I checked in, they were like, "That's all that's in here right now is people that have issues with their plumbing.
Yeah.
This weather."
I worked with some people that had the same kind of thing happen, where they had like basically the whole room is out of condition.
I was really upset for the first couple days, especially with like the loss of my son's bedroom. I spent probably 6 weeks just like I painted it this really cool green color, and I put up all these huge wall decals of dinosaurs and shit, and all these we made some those 3D wooden dinosaur skeletons you buy at craft stores, and we hung those from the ceiling above his crib, and everything's dinosaur themed. We worked on it so long. My ex-girlfriend made special crib set, pillowcases, sheets, curtains, and everything that are all dinosaur bones. Worked on that for so long, and that whole room all at once just came in.
You basically killed the dinosaurs again.
Again, a second time. And I was real bummed about it, but it's like my friends and family all keep saying, like, you just bought that house and you're basically getting a remodel in half the house. Like I am. My house is getting remodeled and like brand new everything in it.
Just redo it all.
It's over 60.
Did you add a new lounge?
A new lounge? No. They won't even move the water pipe that burst. I asked them, I was like, can we just move that?
For all of our podcast guests.
To stay there?
A green room.
Sure.
Gus of the Top Level Society podcast stay at Thunderbeard's.
You are paying for it.
I'm okay for it, yeah.
Hotel accommodation brought to you.
Yeah. Thunder House. I didn't come up with any new questions.
That's okay. We can just riff for a while. We just talk about video games. Do whatever you guys want.
I'm trying to figure out how to like make that into a story.
Yeah, you really.
Worst video game of all time.
I don't know. It's hard to say what the worst video game of all time is because I mean I've played a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think even stuff maybe more recent that I think is garbage. I mean, like a lot of people give Final Fantasy 13 a lot of shit about being a terrible game. It was not a terrible game. That just was like it was like a hallway game. Where it's like a hallway simulator.
It wasn't a great game. The combat system was okay. It was innovative. It was different and neat. But
did I say it was a great game?
No, you said it wasn't a horrible game.
No, it wasn't a horrible game, and I stuck with it. I didn't really care for like Dragon Age Origins. Played that game. Everybody said it was great. I thought that
that was another one. I didn't understand like the travel system. Like, don't walk from here to there. Just click somewhere and we'll take you there. Like,
all games do that now. Any game that's like that, like Skyrim does it, Oblivion.
But you have the option though.
Sure, yeah, yes, that's actually true. That's a good point because you don't have the option in that game. You just have to click. It's like, okay, I want to go over this place. Okay, you're there.
You walk down a short hallway and then you.
Yeah, I mean, there've been I kind of have this thing that I do now where like you get so many games free on PlayStation Plus. You get so many games free when they drop on price on your iPhone or your Android or your tablet or whatever. There are so many free to play games on PC and even consoles now. So like there are so many games that you have access to at all times that you already have. Not even including the games that you buy. So like I'll sit down and I'll play something for maybe 45 minutes or an hour, and sometimes that sucks because that doesn't even get you all the way through the tutorial.
Right.
But I give something about that long to hook me. Sometimes I give it less time, and if it doesn't hook me by then, that's off the list. Like I'm not playing the game anymore. It's done. The game's dead to me, basically. And that's just because, I mean, I'm trying to buy less games, and I'm also trying to spend less time playing games that I don't care about. So, worst game of all time, I mean, I can think of a lot of NES games that are pretty bad. A lot of people really like A Boy and His Blob, but that game, whenever I played it whenever I was little, it was like unintelligible. You couldn't figure out what you were doing in that game if you're a kid.
You know what's funny is one game that people will argue is one of the worst games ever made, and there's a whole legacy surrounding it, was when they rushed to market the E.T. game for Atari. It's got its own lore behind it with the whole crushing of the cartridges and Atari burying it. Yeah. But when I was a kid and I got that game, I was like, this is the shit.
Well, yeah.
I can make E.T.'s neck grow and fly for some reason.
When you're a kid, you don't know that a game's shitty.
For one, you don't have a great base of comparison when you're a kid.
Not at all. Not only that, but, I mean, your parents are buying you games, maybe birthdays and Christmas. Maybe if you're spoiled fucking rotten, they're buying you an extra game at some point during the year. And that's when games also were cartridge-based, and they were $70 or $80 each. So you got one shot. And that was before game reviews also were a big thing, so you didn't really know what was good. It was just like, oh, that's a cool box art, let's get that game.
I think if we're going to be more, I'll be a little bit contemporary here as far as worst games ever. One comes to mind that's recent. And let me start by saying I never played the Grand Theft Auto games, but when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and all the websites were giving it 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10, perfect game, I was like, well, I clearly have to try it. So I got Grand Theft Auto 5, and I loved it. I had a great time playing it. I think Lou played it. I thought it was an awesome game, a masterstroke by Rockstar on all accounts. So then I thought to myself, my friend Eric has been playing Saints Row, the newest Saints Row game, and I thought, well, it's an open world game. Maybe I'm just starting to come into my own on open world sandbox kind of games. And so I got the newest. I've rented the newest Saints Row game, and it was one of the worst gaming experiences of my life. I was so angry at it.
That game is just like one big long dick joke.
Yeah, big dick and fart joke constantly.
I mean, if you can get behind that, sure. But
rim shot.
But I mean, I don't know. That's not really my cup of tea either. There's something I've played recently that was just like so bad. Maybe I've just been. It's probably just movies. I've been seeing a lot of movies recently that have just been really bad.
Are you excited about the Mortal Kombat reboot? They're doing a new Mortal Kombat movie.
No, not at all. There are so many things that I'm not excited about, and that is probably
Battletoads movie.
Battletoads movie? Are they doing that?
Is Michael Bay
Yes.
directing it?
That's for real. Because the last time we did a podcast, you told me that they were making, I can't remember what game, and I was like, really? That's awesome. Oh, Quantum Leap. You said they were making a Quantum Leap game, and I totally got behind that. Like, that's a really good idea. And you were like, I'm totally making that up. And then after the fact, I listened to the podcast and was mad at myself, A, for believing you, and then I was mad that no one's done that yet.
Yeah. I mean, there are still plenty of ideas out there that can be taken advantage of for games, for movies, and all that kind of stuff. Even original stuff.
Let's go around the room then, and let's talk about. We all seem to have our own preferences as far as what we play or what we don't play. What's something that you know is upcoming that you're excited about?
I guess I'll go first. I mean, like I said before, Infamous Second Son. I know that's coming out. I will want to play it. I don't have a PS4, and I'm not going to buy one just to play that game specifically. Unless it's that good, but my brother has a PS4. He just got one, so...
Kind of mirrors my sentiments from the last podcast. Like, I already had one purchased for me, so I own one. But if I had the option now, if it was my money and not someone buying the Xbox One for me as a gift, I wouldn't have bought it yet because I want to wait to see how the software shakes out, what comes out. I want to see how the hardware holds up, and if there's any severe issues that come up with it.
Give it a couple years to work on it.
Exactly. And the PS3 and Xbox 360 are still cranking out quality shit right now.
Yeah, there's no reason to upgrade unless you really, really want to.
I just happened to dumb myself into one as a gift. I got the Xbox One.
Sure.
But yeah, like you say, Infamous is shaping up to be something amazing from what I've seen.
That's a big one. I mean, there's Bravely Default that's coming to 3DS. I'd like to play that. There's a demo out for that. I haven't played it yet. But really, like, I've made a very conscious effort at the end of last year, and then coming into this year, like, I don't want to spend as much money on video games, and I also don't really want to, I'm trying to distance myself at least slightly from that, where I was the guy that was obsessed with writing about every news story and writing reviews and hosting a podcast where I had to know everything about video games. I'm trying to be a little bit less of that guy, so, like, I don't really know a lot of the stuff that's coming out. I mean, I do and I don't. You have stuff like Titanfall and Destiny. Those both look like amazing experiences.
Destiny, of those two, Destiny I'm way more excited about just because A, the cross-platform possibilities, and B, I don't know if you've read much about it, but they say that the game is going to have a 10-year life cycle. Like, there's going to be an ongoing storyline that lasts real world 10 years.
It's like an MMO.
Basically. Yeah, you even if you're not playing, there's conflicts going on and story elements going on that you have. Either you're there for them or you're not.
Sounds kind of like Eve.
Yep.
Eve Online.
I'm definitely excited about Titanfall. I'm really excited about that. It's one of the first games.
It looks cool.
It looks cool, and the premise behind it's cool. Just the fact that I read a developer's interview where they were like, a lot of the guys that worked on Titanfall are former Call of Duty guys, and they were saying like we split our resources on a Call of Duty game, and half of our guys work on the single player and half of them work on the multiplayer. When in reality, 90% of the people buying that game are buying it for the multiplayer. So why are we wasting so much of our resources on an element of the game that no one gives a shit about? So with Titanfall, they were like, screw that, no single player. This is just going to be a multiplayer first-person shooter. Yeah. And I think that was a neat way to tackle it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Titanfall was going to be the one I was going to say, like, I'm most excited for as far as upcoming releases. I'm really excited about, and PlayStation 4 has an announcement about it. They haven't been too secretive about it, but they're trying to keep it hush-hush. They're going to start releasing some content that's PlayStation exclusive that's not games, and I think it's really just like an answer to Microsoft doing the same thing. But I'm really excited about like exclusive television content to the Xbox One, like Steven Spielberg.
That'll be interesting.
Steven Spielberg doing Halo, I think is going to be awesome. That's going to be. I can't wait for that.
I wonder what the release date's going to be on that. I would imagine 2015.
They announced the first exclusive television content to come to the Xbox One will launch in February, and it's actually to come full circle here. It's a 6-part miniseries about. Is that a knock? It's a 6-part miniseries about the creation and devastation of the E.T. video game. They're doing it, and they're actually going to go unearth the site where they said all the copies of that game are buried in New Mexico.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're going to see if that's myth or not, because some people say there's proponents and opponents of that myth that say that it happened or that it didn't, and that's supposed to be in February, so I can't wait to watch that.
I mean, you might get some. Nintendo's doing the 3DS thing where they're basically releasing every other franchise that they haven't already released on the 3DS. Like there's a new Yoshi's Island game. You have other things like that. When E3 comes around, I bet there's going to be a shitload of new stuff that's announced that everybody's going to be like, whoa, this is awesome. I'm going to get a new next-gen console. But, I mean, gaming has quite a bright future, but I think last year around this time, everybody was speculating about new consoles. Now everybody's speculating about games that nobody knows about yet, because there is some stuff on the horizon, but not anything that's really blowing my mind yet, at least.
Did you hear the CES announcement that there's a lot of games being worked on that are going to be cross-platform between Xbox One and PlayStation 4? You can play with each other.
I didn't know that was a thing, but that could be really cool.
I think it's really neat. A lot of it stems from, there's always been this like headbutting between, basically, like, let's be honest, with the last generation of consoles, Wii was awesome and it was innovative, but really it boiled down to like how the PlayStation 3 did versus the Xbox 360.
To a certain extent, yeah.
And Microsoft and Sony have constantly been butting heads with each other. But with the launch of these new consoles, it started with a lot of tweets back and forth between the two. Like when the PlayStation launched, Xbox was like, congratulations on a good launch, and PlayStation did the same back. And there's been kind of this like, maybe we'll shake hands a little bit and chat things out. So that has evolved.
They take stabs at each other, but it's you know, it's all kind of in good fun.
I think the reality is they both know that their competition's not going to fail. I mean, both consoles sold over 3 million units in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think they've embraced that together. They're both the future of home console gaming. And so there's been a lot of talk about through EA and I think 5 different developers working on games that are cross-platform as far as multiplayer goes. So that's awesome. I think that's amazing.
That'd be really cool. Definitely.
To be able to get on like, and again, I don't play like Call of Duty, but that's just going to double how many people you can play with whenever you can get on Call of Duty. And
that would be nice because I mean, just looking at something like whenever I played Halo, I could tell that the community was dead because like the new Call of Duty game came out.
Right.
And so there would be nobody playing Halo, but whenever I get on PS3 version of Call of Duty, which I did, I rented it and I checked it out. There were a lot of people playing, but you know that there are like 4 times as many people playing on Xbox 360. Yeah. Because that's just how it is. At least in the U.S. You know, you go into Europe and all that kind of stuff, and it might be completely different. I know PS3's, I don't want to say more popular, but they're on much more even ground. But I don't know. I think that could be really interesting, and it'll be interesting if you see games that are also cross-platform with PC. I don't know if you're going to see any of that, but between the 2 consoles probably makes more sense.
There's a game called 7 Days to Die that is in beta right now, and currently it's in PC beta. But it's going to launch on Xbox and Steam, and it's already been announced that it will be cross-platform between Steam players, PC players, like purchase a copy of the game, and Xbox One players.
That's very cool.
That's already been announced, and then I think we discussed it off air when we took that last break. Project Spark, which is the game development tool /game/community where you make your own games and you can share them via Xbox Live. That's going to be cross-platform also. With basically just PC. I don't guess that's technically cross-platform because they're using kind of like a modified version of the operating system, but
it kind of is.
Yeah,
it's close enough.
Between PC and Xbox, so that's kind of cool. I'm really just excited about the PS4, Xbox One cross-platform. I think that's neat. What's up? You have a computer to talk for you.
No, he's wanting to continue on with the upcoming games.
Oh, you've got an upcoming game. Yeah, we did take up a lot of time with that. What do you got for upcoming games that you're excited for, Lou? So,
Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
oh yeah, the new Metal Gear. Look, he's shooting something.
Yeah.
You're not a Metal
Many
Gear fan?
supernatural elements are shown in the trailer, along with several connections to Moby Dick.
Multi-dig.
That's true. That's true. I remember seeing some stuff about that flying away.
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick, yeah. It sounded like it said multi-dick, and I thought, well, we're 4-8 into porn now. Yeah, I mean, the new Metal Gear.
It looks cool.
So many new phrases.
Hey, I can't wait to figure out how to be stealthy in a desert. No, it does look fantastic, though. And
Iraq War.
as a longtime fan of the show 24, I'm excited to see Kiefer Sutherland take the
that's
role.
so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
It's weird?
I think it's weird the way that so they have this guy, David Hayter. He's the voice actor of Solid Snake. They have him through all of the games, all the way through 4. And then
That's the weirdest sneeze.
then instead
Gesundheit.
of having him as the voice actor, they it almost seemed like they didn't contact him. They didn't, because there are a bunch of tweets you can read about it, about how this guy kind of was stiffed by Konami and the developer and everything, and he's not the voice this time. They went with Kiefer Sutherland. It's almost like they wanted to go a different direction, which is fine. It just seems like the way they went about it was kind of weird. But I also don't really play Metal Gear games, so I don't care a whole lot. I have a problem with stealth games. I'm not very good at them. I don't have patience.
I don't have the patience for it either.
It drives me insane when I go down the hall and I've been doing things for like 15 minutes and then I get caught. It's kind of like in a game like Grand Theft Auto. When I die, that's when I reset the game because I'm like, oh, I died. I lost all my shit. Didn't want to do that, so I'll.
Metal Gear Solid Rising was good and not stealth.
That's true. That's very true. And I've seen some gameplay footage and all that kind of stuff of that game. It looks pretty insane. Whenever he runs up the guy, Raiden, he runs up like a robot arm, is like slicing it in half the whole time, and kills it and everything. It's like 20 stories tall. That's pretty cool.
The boss fights were epic.
I'm kind of mad that you just used epic. So, Allison, I wish you could laugh and I didn't have to explain to people that you're laughing and wincing at the same time. Allison, have you got a game that you're anticipating?
Yeah, I actually am. Drew kind of mentioned it. He said Yoshi's Island. I am so pumped about that. I played Yoshi's Story like none other on N64.
Is that next month? Does it come out February?
It's coming out soon.
February or March? I can't remember. Anyway, it's coming out soon.
Yeah,
It's
I need
early.
to finish League Between Worlds. I have that rule. I have to completely finish a game before I start a new one.
That is the best rule you could possibly have. It's very good for your wallet.
So I'm pretty pumped. I'm just going to run around and make Yoshi noises the next year. Can't wait for it.
I anticipate things like whenever the new Smash Brothers game comes out, I'll be like, okay, it's time to buy a Wii U now. Got it.
Yeah. When Super Smash Brothers Brawl came out, I was like, they were releasing new content once a week through the website, and I was constantly updating like, oh shit, it's what the Pokeball looks like now. And everyone was like, dude, that was in the last game. Like, shut up, it's new content that I haven't seen this week.
Oh yeah. That'll be cool whenever that game finally comes out. Definitely interested.
Have they announced characters for it that were not previously in Super Smash Brothers games? Because I haven't been following it. Does anyone know anything about that?
Rosalina, maybe?
I did see that.
She's the fairy lady in
From
Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think she's a character. I don't know. Let's see. I've only been following it ancillarily, so I don't really know. Dog snores. Love it.
I'm at a loss now. I feel like I don't know why. Like the one topic I'm most in tune with and talk the most about, I'm just like, well, I feel I'm sated now. I'm good.
It's all those noise complaints.
Yoshi's Island is out March 14th.
Okay, so it's March.
Yes, I know what to do March 14th.
I've always wondered what it would be like to have Stephen Hawking give me launch date information on video games.
Mark your calendars.
There's an app that you can get. This is very, very vague, but you can save like websites and have it read the websites to you and make it into a podcast and then listen to it like whenever you're driving, things like that. So like if you had a bunch of like long read articles that you wanted to get through and everything like that, I cannot remember what it's called, but yeah, and it reads it in maybe a slightly more a voice probably kind of like the robot voice here.
What is that you're holding in your hand?
Is that another iPad? No.
It's a Windows.
Surface.
When did you get this?
About a week ago.
Really? Are you a fan of it?
No.
So it's got the keyboard and everything. You got all that set up at home.
Allison is getting it.
The keyboard.
No, my netbook's messed
The
up.
whole thing.
And he's taking a class to get certified on it, and the keyboard comes next week.
Oh,
That's cool.
That's cool. Did you get this free then?
Yes.
For class?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's pretty badass.
My business is paying for it.
Really? It's pretty neat.
Or should I say employer?
Your employer's paying for it.
That's pretty cool.
Well, if you decide when you're done with it you don't want it, I'll buy it from you. Just for smart glass, just so I can use it to tinker with the Xbox.
Yeah. I put smart glass on my iPhone, and I used it just to like kind of play around with and see how it was.
What can it do with the Xbox?
What's that?
What can it do with the Xbox?
Anything Apple stuff does with its stuff, like if you have music content or one or the other, you can go back and forth with that. Like, you can use it as, like, let's say if instead of opening up a laptop, I'm sitting at home and I want to check out something on the internet, I want to go read a website or something, I can pull up Smart Glass and I can tell Connect to go to Internet Explorer, and then instead of having to have a keyboard, I can use the on-screen keyboard to type in a web address and hit enter and
Nice.
it on the TV.
That's pretty cool.
And then, like, all the shit you get through a cell phone, like if I'm looking at a website through the TV and I want to pinch or stretch with your fingertips, you can zoom and stuff, or you can double. When you move your finger, you see the icon on your screen moving around like you're using a touchpad on a computer.
That's very cool.
And then there's a lot of content, like for example, the Dead Rising game. When you're playing it, you can use Smart Glass to access all of your weapons. If you use Smart Glass on a cell phone while you're playing Dead Rising, there's a character in the game that'll call you periodically, and your phone will actually ring, and you'll have to answer it, and you'll hear a character from the end of the game.
That's crazy.
That's like, hey, I got this for you, or you can call in airstrikes, stuff like that. The Smart Glass.
It really is a solid machine and the first Microsoft computer I have ever used.
That? And you don't like it?
Microsoft computer. Think about it.
I got you. You look so mad right now.
It is the first one.
The first one in your life. I guess it's.
What other computer has Microsoft made?
Yeah, I was about to say. I was thinking just like computers that are running Microsoft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was zinging you.
You did zing me right in the nuts.
No, just saying.
I can hear you saying that, which is so weird. No, I'm just saying.
You may want to see it.
I haven't played with one yet.
It reminds me a lot of like
It's gonna shatter.
the home screen when you're running Xbox One. It's that Metro layout.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting it to switch from that into a desktop, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do not really dig it, but it is not too bad.
I actually don't like the Windows 8 system. I prefer
No one
Windows. That's why I hate it when I bought my shit on the back. It had Windows 8 on it.
If it were all I used, I could probably deal with it.
It's a nice size too. I mean, it feels good. Like whenever you're scrolling and stuff. Like the touchscreen doesn't feel great, but it.
Hold it, portrait.
Follow directions.
It hasn't changed. Does it change?
Yeah.
See how weird it feels.
Like since the edges aren't rounded, it is a little weird. But like whenever you hold it, when you hold the landscape, I don't know. Get the hell out of here.
It's so rectangular.
That's I feel like it should either be you definitely have to use both hands, or you should only be able to use one and hold it without it being awkward.
Okay. Nope. Oh, hey. Now I'm using an actual computer.
Yeah.
You switched it?
Yeah.
I did. I guess. What did I do? I pulled it over to the side and went to desktop.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Very cool.
That's
The
kinda
desktop function is pretty useful.
like whenever I'm using, I have an Android tablet, and you can go between, like, it looks like my phone, basically, like this setup, or it'll go to almost like a desktop. I was like, when the first time I did that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I can access all of the apps and stuff in the slide bar that pulls up. And
I like it. It's interesting. One of these days, Apple is going to make their next tablet and OS 10. They're going to merge those things into whatever the next big thing is, I guess, for them, and it's all going to be one kind of thing. It's probably all just going to be iOS. That's the kind of direction that they're moving, if you kind of look at their business choices and all that kind of stuff. But it'll be interesting, because I kind of, since I got my MacBook Air, and that was, I guess, October maybe or something like that, whenever I got it, I've kind of come to the conclusion that like every computer that I have from now on, I want it to be a laptop so I can take it with me and do whatever I want to do. But then when I get home, if I want to, I can hook it up to a monitor and do big stuff. And I've had laptops before. This is just the first time where it's been like, I guess I'm kind of done with this desktop computer thing, at least for now. I have to use them at work, and I have a powerful one at home, but I just don't use it as much as I
How do you feel about cloud computing?
I know less about cloud computing than I do about cloud storage and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like, I enjoy things being in the cloud to be able to access them, if that's kind of what you're talking about. But
PlayStation now streaming a PS1.
Yeah, I mean, I like that a lot. I like the idea of not having to have this desk with this box, or this box under my TV, or, you know, the cleaner that it gets and the more simple it gets for me to be able to do the things that I want to do, like surf the internet or play games or whatever. That can only improve.
Right. Half of the either you have no internet and you put in your disc of your Xbox One game and you play it, and it accesses everything from what you stored on the hard drive and the disc. If you're connected to the internet, half of the game's being referenced from the hard drive. The disc is only there to prove you own the game, and the other half of the game's being referenced via cloud, and it makes the game go so much faster.
Yep.
Load times are cut down so much and stuff like that. And I think cloud computing, a lot of the what runs the Xbox One is remote through cloud. They've announced that in 2 months they're upgrading the graphic processing of the system, and they're doing it via cloud, like it's not on board. Don't have to worry about it. Don't have to buy don't have to do an actual hardware update. The drivers and everything.
How the fuck is that possible?
Read it, look it up. There's a whole, like, half of, or a third of the console is being run by an onboard OS, and there's one that buffers between itself and this cloud OS, and a lot of the drivers and a lot of the feeds you're getting on the system can be accessed via cloud. And there's a huge write-up on it and how it works, and I haven't worked in the IT field, I don't understand how that works, but they can bump up a lot of the raw power of the system remotely. There's upgrades that can be done to it without actually having to touch the system itself.
Because it uses so much cloud computing. That's interesting, and I mean, regardless of how anybody feels about it, that's the way that things are going to be going anyway, so get used to it.
We're just headed towards Blade Runner.
Yeah, true.
I say everything's headed towards Blade Runner. It's not Doritos, Locos, Tacos. We're headed towards Blade Runner.
It is, sadly.
So, I feel like, have we made the rounds with the Surface?
I think we did.
Okay, cool.
All restaurants are Taco Bell in the future.
In the future, all restaurants are Taco Bell. Anyone that's not me or you. We have two guests in the room that weren't present for that discussion. Does anyone know?
Demolition Man reference.
Damn it, man. I was going to ask if anyone knew. That's what I was getting towards.
Oops.
Nice.
I feel like I've kind of run myself dry of information, and we got awkward and handed around the Surface for a while. So does anyone else have anything, questions, topics, anything you want to go over? Like that?
Pitch us your idea for the Thunderbeard game, Thunderbeard.
The Thunderbeard, you want me to discuss that? So basically, wait.
They're going to steal your idea.
I know, that's awkward to me.
Totally going to steal it.
Yeah. Never mind.
You gotta keep that one on the wraps.
I basically do want to do a Thunderbeard video game with this new that Project Spark that's coming out. I'm not giving away anything, but if anyone's ever viewed the cartoon, I'm wanting to do a point-and-click based adventure based on my horribly immature cartoon.
Say something really abstract about it.
something really abstract about it. I don't even know.
Tie it in with Moby Dick.
I got nothing there. Call me Ahab. I will point out we had a discussion off air about Top Level Society merchandise. When I came on as the official co-host, Luthraz gave me a sweet-ass umbrella that's got the Top Level Society logo on it, and it's sat in the corner of my house for since I got it that night. I haven't really had an opportunity to use it. But then last Wednesday, when my water pipes burst and my house started raining water down on top of me, the first thing I did was grab that umbrella and made use of it. And I was like, thanks, Top Level, as I ran through the house, avoiding debris falling from my ceiling with that umbrella. So
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. It was awesome. It did its job. It did more than its job because it was originally designed for
Yay.
radio only. Your monosyllabic answers through Stephen Hawking's voice are the highlight of this podcast.
I know.
So, I think that about does it for questioning and that kind of stuff. We have a thing we've gotten to where we like to close out the podcast with a joke.
Yeah, thank the guest for coming on too.
Absolutely, Drew. Thanks for coming. It was awesome to meet you.
Thank you guys for having me.
The quality of guests we've had since I first started doing this, it keeps ramping up. I'm loving the people we're having on, and I could.
Those first guests were really shitty though.
I can't speak for Luthraz here.
Hey, mine was good.
What?
I was the first ever guest, and I was.
Allison was the first guest.
Well, we have stepped up.
It wasn't even question based then, though.
It was. I wish you guys could see Luthraz is having I'm laughing at so-and-so attack over here. I can't speak for you on this, but I would, in the future, if we ever have like a larger format or we have a larger area to work with, I'd love to have Drew back for another podcast or to have him actually come in and do like the three of us talking to someone else, just because he has the experience.
Yeah, he has a whole crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have other co-hosts and everything that couldn't be here tonight, but we used to, like I said, TurboGamer.me. You can go and check out the website. And,
excellent plug.
Listen to the podcast and all that kind of stuff. The podcast is really more a labor of love of all of us, but the writing was all me. So go there, check it out. If you like what you see, send me enough emails to say, hey, do it again.
We can talk about Xbox and PS4 Christmas around November.
What? Xbox and PS4.
Future podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's true. Because
Absolutely.
it'll be the new holiday time, and after E3, I'm sure there will be more stuff.
Obviously,
video game
I'm sure
world
a
to talk
lot of
about.
stuff comes out of E3.
So,
and that's right around the corner.
yeah.
It seems like they just had an E3 last week, and here comes another E3.
As you get older, the time moves very, very fast.
So, again, thanks for coming on tonight. I think
Thanks for having me.
You've given some excellent insights and opinions, and again, Allison, thank you for contributing 3 times tonight. I want to give a special shout out to Stephen Hawking for being in the hotel with us for the interview tonight. So we're going to end things tonight with a joke. This joke was selected by Luthraz and emailed to me since he can't speak. It's an awesome joke, and I say that as sarcastically as possible. Why, Drew? Why do fish swim in schools?
I don't know why.
Because they can't walk in schools. Those are rim shots just pouring out of Luthraz's face right now. The joke's so horrible. So I guess again, thanks for coming on, Allison. Everyone we have here tonight, the snoring dogs and the old lady that complains about how loud I am. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight, and have a sexily.
Have a sexily. Good job, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Who Gives a Fuck.biz podcast. Please call the hotline at 424-253-6355 with any questions or comments, and they will be shared on the next podcast. Have a great evening, you sexy humanoid.